Hi friends, it's Jasmine, and if you're new here, I'm a local realtor serving the Southwest Washington and Portland metro area. If you're planning a move to Vancouver, Washington or Portland, Oregon, especially with your family in tow, I want to personally invite you to reach out. You can call me, text me, email me. Don't hesitate, I don't bite. And if you're just starting to plan your move, I've also linked my buyer questionnaire down in the description to help you get started with confidence and clarity. I moved to Vancouver, Washington from Honolulu myself, so I know what it's like to leave everything familiar behind and start fresh in a totally new place. That's exactly why I created this channel, to be the guide and support I wish I had when I was relocating. These days, I help a lot of families make the same leap, and I always do my best to be that calm, knowledgeable friend in their corner. So, if you've been wondering, is Vancouver, Washington a good place to raise a family? You're in the right place. Let's walk through it together. Vancouver, Washington has quietly become one of the most appealing places for families looking to settle down in the Pacific Northwest, and it's not hard to see why, especially in 2025, when affordability and quality of life are top of mind for so many people. Vancouver stands out. For starters, families relocating from places like Portland, Seattle, or even out-of-state markets like California are often surprised by how much more they can get for their money here. According to the recent MLS data, the median home price in Vancouver is $499,000 compared to $565,000 in Portland and well over $800,000 in Seattle. That price difference alone can mean the ability to buy a larger home, live in a safer neighborhood, or simply breathe easier when it comes to monthly mortgage payment. But cost isn't the only thing that draws people in. Vancouver has this rare mix of small town feel with big city convenience. You're just across the river from Portland, which gives you access to its job market, restaurants, and international airport without paying Oregon state income tax. And because Washington has no state income tax, many families see that as a long-term financial advantage. What really seals the deal for a lot of families, though, is the strong sense of community. Vancouver isn't flashy or fast-paced, but it's welcoming. It's the kind of place where people look out for each other, where your neighbors wave hello, and where there's always something local happening, like a weekend farmers market, a kids event at a park, or cultural festival that brings the whole town out. And if you're a family who loves nature, you've got instant access to the outdoors here. From day trips to the Columbia River Gorge to biking trails and snow days on Mount Hood, it's easy to unplug and connect with your kids outside. For families who want a space to grow, a little more breathing room financially, and a lifestyle that's rooted in community, Vancouver offers all of that and more. If you're coming from places like California, Hawaii, or even bigger metro areas like Seattle or Portland, the cost of living in Vancouver can feel like a breath of fresh air. That's one of the many reasons so many families are choosing to settle down here. You still get access to great schools, beautiful parks, and growing job opportunities, but without the same financial pressure. In terms of housing, Vancouver offers a lot of value compared to nearby cities. As of mid-2025, the median home price in Vancouver is around $499,000, which is significantly more affordable than the median price in Seattle, around $830,000, or much of the Bay Area, well over $1 million. Even Portland, just across the river, tends to trend slightly higher in price, especially when you factor in property taxes. And I know that buying isn't always the first step for every family. Sometimes you need a little time to get settled before jumping into home ownership. The good news is, renting here is also more manageable than in many other West Coast cities. Right now, the average rent for a 2 to 3 bedroom in Vancouver is around $1,800 to $2,200, depending on location and amenities. Compare that to the $2,400 to $2,800 in Portland, or even $3,000 plus in Seattle, and you're looking at a much more accessible starting point for families who are still figuring things out. That flexibility is huge if you're relocating and want to scope out schools, neighborhoods, or just get a feel for the area before committing to a purchase. Of course, housing isn't the only factor when budgeting a move. The cost of daily essentials in Vancouver is refreshingly manageable. Groceries tend to run about 5 to 8% cheaper than in Portland or Seattle, depending on where you shop, especially if you frequent places like Winco, Grocery Outlet, or Costco. Utilities for a typical family home generally range from $250 to $300 a month, depending on usage and the time of year. And childcare, while rising nationwide, is still less expensive than most metro areas. Whether you're looking at in-home care, local daycares, or structured early learning centers, there are multiple options, and many offer sliding scale pricing or flexible enrollment for newcomers. Commuting costs are also a factor for many families, especially if one or both partners are working in Portland. Thankfully, gas prices in Vancouver are often lower than across the bridge, and the commute itself, while not always perfect, is generally more manageable than cities with intense traffic like Seattle or San Jose. If you're a remote worker, even better. You'll save hundreds every month on fuel and car maintenance alone. And if you settle in a neighborhood like Fisher's Landing or even Ridgefield, you'll find walkable town centers, local amenities, and easy access or daily conveniences without always needing to hop in your car. And of course, one of the biggest financial perks of living in Washington is the lack of state income tax. For working families, that's a major advantage. It can mean thousands of dollars in annual savings, especially when combined with Oregon's no sales tax for shopping just across the border. If you live in Vancouver and do your big purchases in Portland, you really can benefit from the best of both worlds. And here's something else. If you're a first-time home buyer, Washington has programs designed to help you save. There are down payment assistance options, grants, and even special loan programs that could help you buy with less out of pocket than you might expect. I actually have a full video that dives into that, so be sure to check that out if you're in the planning stages. Between the more affordable housing, family-friendly rental market, manageable day-to-day costs, and tax advantages, Vancouver stands out as a place where your money can go farther without giving up the lifestyle or community feel that families are often looking for. When it comes to raising a family, school quality is almost always top of mind, and Vancouver, Washington doesn't disappoint. In fact, one of the biggest reasons I see families moving here is because of the strong and varied educational options available across Clark County. Let's start with public schools. Vancouver is primarily served by two major school districts, Vancouver Public Schools and Evergreen Public Schools. Both districts offer a wide range of programs, from dual language immersion to STEM magnet programs, art academies, and career and technical education, CTE tracks. If you're relocating from out of state, you might be surprised by how many choices there are within the public system alone. A great example, VSAA, the Vancouver School of Arts and Academics, is one of the top-ranked schools in the region, especially for students interested in music, dance, theater, and visual arts. And on the STEM side, Henrietta Lacks Health and Bioscience High School, Gila High, offers students a unique hands-on education focused on medical and bioscience careers. It's part of Evergreen Public Schools and is well regarded for its rigorous curriculum. Both districts also provide early learning and special education services, gifted and talented programs, and strong support for English language learners, which can be a big draw for families coming from culturally diverse backgrounds or non-English speaking homes. For families who prefer alternative routes, Vancouver has a robust offering of charter, magnet, and private schools too. Charter schools like iTech Preparatory focus on innovation and project-based learning, while private options like Seton Catholic College Prep or Cornerstone Christian Academy provide more traditional faith-based environments. There are also Montessori programs, Waldorf-inspired schools, and even online or hybrid models for families looking for flexibility. And if you're thinking long-term, Clark College and Washington State University, Vancouver both offer strong local higher education options. Many high schoolers in the area participate in Running Start, a program that lets juniors and seniors earn college credit for free while finishing their high school diploma. That kind of head start can save families thousands in tuition costs. Another thing I love pointing out to relocating families, Washington is an open enrollment state. That means, depending on availability, you may be able to enroll your child in a school outside of your designated boundary. Great for families who are still deciding on neighborhoods but want to prioritize school choice. Now, if you're wondering how the schools here rank compared to those in Portland or Seattle, Vancouver tends to be less competitive overall on paper, but it's also a lot more community focused and personalized. Many of my clients tell me their kids are thriving here because of the smaller class sizes, attentive teachers, and inclusive school cultures. It's not about prestige, it's about support, safety, and a balanced environment. Finally, a quick note on safety. Both Vancouver and Evergreen school districts have invested in school resource officers, mental health counselors, and safety plans across campuses. School safety is a priority here, and you'll often see district-wide initiatives around digital literacy, anti-bullying, and social emotional learning. So if your kid is into robotics or arts, needs more flexibility, or just thrives in a smaller, more supportive environment, there's something here that'll fit your family. You're not boxed into one path, and that's what makes the education scene in Vancouver feel so promising. Let's talk neighborhoods, because one of the most common questions I get from families relocating to Vancouver is, where should we live? There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but I want to walk you through a few areas that consistently come up with my clients who are prioritizing family life: schools, community feel, safety, and room to grow. Let's start with Fisher's Landing, located in East Vancouver. Vancouver. This area has a ton of new developments, great parks, great schools, and easy access to shopping. If you want something that's move-in ready with modern features, and you like the idea of being close to both local businesses and the freeway, it's a solid option. The layout of the neighborhood feels very intentional, with walking trails, open green spaces, and little pockets that feel safe and quiet. Then there's Valida, which is perfect if you're looking for something more peaceful and established. A lot of the homes here are on larger lots, and the area has a kind of tucked away vibe that families really love. It's known for its quiet streets, mature trees, and just a slower pace. The schools in the area are strong, and you're close to both nature and the amenities of North Vancouver. Another favorite is Salmon Creek. This area offers a great balance. It's a little more affordable than East Vancouver, but still close to everything. You've got parks, sports fields, highly rated schools, and a mix of newer homes and well-kept older ones. Families here love the convenience factor. You're not far from the freeway, but it still feels like a neighborhood. Now, you might not expect me to say this, but downtown Vancouver is starting to attract more families too. If you're someone who loves walkability, access to events, and that blend of urban and community life, it's worth considering. You've got parks like Esther Short, great restaurants, and you're still within reach of good schools, including some immersion and charter options. It's a little different vibe from suburban life, but for the right family, it works beautifully. And finally, Hazeldale. This area is often a go-to for families looking for value. The homes range from mid-century charmers to newer townhomes, and you've got community parks, libraries, and family-friendly events happening all the time. It's a little more budget-friendly, but still super accessible to everything in Vancouver and Portland. Of course, every family is different, and sometimes the best neighborhood is the one that aligns with your specific needs. Maybe you're looking for walkability or a huge yard or a tight-knit school community. That's exactly what I help people figure out during the relocation process. I always say, don't just look at the house, look at the life you want to build around it. So if any of these neighborhoods caught your attention, or even if you're not sure where to begin, connect with me and we can learn more about what matters most to you. When people ask me, is there a lot to do for kids and families in Vancouver? The answer is a big yes. One of the things I love most about this area is how many family-focused options there are. Indoors, outdoors, all seasons of the year. Let's start with the parks, because Vancouver takes green spaces seriously. Vancouver Waterfront Park is one of the most scenic places in town, with wide walking paths, a fun splash pad in the summer, and a beautiful view of the Columbia River. It's a great place for weekend strolls, family picnics, and even little bike rides for the kids. Then you've got Leverage Park, Marshall Park, and Leroy Hagen Park, which are all spacious, clean, and great for a full day outside. Many of them have playgrounds, tennis courts, and trails, and in the summer, local events like outdoor movies or festivals pop up in the park system, which makes it super easy to stay involved with the community. If you're into nature adventures, Lacamas Lake and Salmon Creek Greenway are popular for light hiking, stroller-friendly walks, and even fishing or kayaking with older kids. And of course, Fort Vancouver Historic Site is an educational gem. There's hands-on exhibits, open grounds to run around on, and it's just a fun, low-cost way to spend an afternoon while learning about the region's history. Rainy day? No problem. Vancouver has great indoor options too. The Furstenberg and Marshall Community Centers have indoor pools with slides and play structures that are perfect for little ones. There's also Sky Zone Trampoline Park, JJ Jump, and Kids Club Fun and Fitness, which are all indoor play areas packed with energy-burning activities. If you have toddlers or younger kids, the Children's Discovery Museum in nearby Portland is a quick drive and always a hit. We also have plenty of local libraries with story time and kid events, family-friendly coffee shops like Relevant Coffee with play areas, and rotating seasonal activities like pumpkin patches in the fall or holiday light displays in the winter. And I always tell families, Vancouver is incredibly centrally located. If you ever want to expand your activity radius, you're only about 15 minutes from Portland, 90 minutes from the coast, and just a few hours from Mount Hood or Central Oregon for weekend getaways. There's truly no shortage of things to do here, and I think that's part of why so many families end up feeling right at home. One of the questions I get the most, especially from families considering a move, is about safety, and I get it. When you're thinking about putting down roots, choosing a neighborhood where you feel secure is everything. Now, I always like to say that safety is deeply personal. What feels safe to one family might feel different to another. But what I can speak to is what I've experienced living here, what my clients have shared with me, and what local data and resources show. Vancouver has a strong reputation for being a generally safe suburban city with neighborhoods that are well-maintained, community-oriented, and family-forward. You're not going to get the hustle of a major metro, and that alone contributes to a more relaxed pace of life. In neighborhoods like Fisher's Landing, Valida, and parts of East Vancouver like Cascade Highlands or Hearthwood, families tell me they appreciate the quiet streets, well-lit sidewalks, and strong sense of community. You'll often find parents walking their kids to school, people jogging in the early mornings, or neighbors chatting while gardening or walking their dogs. That kind of daily rhythm makes a difference in how safe and supported people feel. From a data standpoint, the Vancouver Police Department makes crime statistics publicly available. So if you're the kind of person who wants to check reports, there are crime mapping tools like crimemapping.com or LexisNexis that show you what types of incidents have occurred and where. It's important to do your own research, not just on the city, but by zip code and neighborhood, because experiences can vary even just a few blocks apart. I always remind my buyers that I can't steer them or make judgments, but I can absolutely provide resources so they feel confident doing that research themselves. What I can tell you though is that Vancouver has invested in public safety over the years. The police department is active in community overreach, neighborhood watch programs are available for residents, and the city has even added mental health co-responders to emergency calls, which is something many other cities are just starting to pilot. That type of proactive service really matters to families, especially when thinking about long-term quality of life. Now, beyond formal data and services, I want to speak to something a little more intangible, but just as important, and that's the feel of a neighborhood. A lot of my clients relocating from places like Hawaii or California ask, will it feel like a community here? And I always say, Vancouver has that same look out for each other vibe. I've made some of my closest friendships of my life here, and I've seen firsthand how people show up for one another. Whether it's a school fundraiser, a community cleanup, or just offering to help shovel a neighbor's driveway in winter. There are also several Facebook groups and neighborhood forums where people swap recommendations, organize events, and look out for lost pets. It's these little things that build a strong foundation of trust and neighborliness. And with more diversity coming into the area, I've noticed that people are curious and kind. When I share my own story, moving from Hawaii, adjusting to a new rhythm of life, I find that people listen. They ask questions, they connect. There's a growing openness here, and I think that's one of Vancouver's strongest qualities. So if you're a parent thinking about raising your kid in a place that feels small enough to be known, but big enough to offer resources and support, I truly believe Vancouver offers that balance. Safety isn't just about low crime, it's about feeling like you belong somewhere. And for many of the families I've helped move here, that sense of belonging starts forming faster than they expected. One of the most fulfilling parts of my job is getting to work with families who are relocating to Vancouver, especially those moving from places like Hawaii, California, or anywhere that has that strong sense of community already built into daily life. And as someone who made that exact move myself, I always try to be honest about what the transition can feel like, not just logistically, but emotionally too. When clients ask me, Jasmine, will Vancouver feel like home? I always tell them this. It absolutely can, but it might take time. There's no sugarcoating the adjustment that comes with leaving behind everything familiar, your favorite food spots, your neighbors who felt like family, your routines, and even the weather. It's a big leap, but Vancouver has a way of surprising people. I've watched client after client come here with a mix of nerves and hope, and over time, I've seen them settle in beautifully. I've seen their kids make friends quickly at school, their families find local spots they love, and their households get involved in community events and neighborhood life. And I've heard them say, sometimes a few months in, sometimes a year in, I think we made the right move. I always encourage my clients to lean into the experience. Go to the farmer's market, try the local restaurants, say hi to your neighbors, get involved in school events or park meetups, join the community Facebook pages. All of that helps you feel rooted. And for those coming from Hawaii, I get especially passionate because I've been in your shoes. I know what it's like to feel unsure if anywhere else could possibly compare to home, but I also know how powerful it is to connect with someone who's walked that same road. That's why I share my story. That's why I created this YouTube channel, because I didn't have someone like that when I moved. And if I can be that for someone, it means everything to me. So, if you're in the middle of this decision, wondering if Vancouver is really the right place, here's what I'll say. It's not just about finding the right house. It's about finding the right community, and I believe that community is here. You just need someone to help you find your footing, and I'd be honored to be that person. Thank you so much for watching. Truly, this video was made from the heart, and I hope it gave you some real clarity about what life in Vancouver, Washington can look like if you're raising a family or thinking of relocating here. I know there's a lot of uncertainty when you're making a move, especially if it means leaving behind your support system, your culture, or the lifestyle you've always known. If you're planning a move to Southwest Washington or the Portland metro area, and you're looking for more than just a house, you're looking for belonging, for familiarity, for a fresh start that still feels like you, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can call me, text me, email me, whatever works best for you. I don't bite. I also have a buyer's questionnaire linked below if you're still in the research phase. It'll help me understand what you're looking for, and from there, we can take it step by step together. And hey, if this video helped you in any way, or if you know someone who's thinking about moving and could use a friendly face in their corner, I'd love for you to share this with them. You never know who might be quietly looking for a little reassurance. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What matters most to you when choosing a place to raise your family? Let's talk story. I read every comment and I love connecting with people who are on this journey. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!